Cool. Hello and welcome back to another JunoViewer webinar. I'm Danielle and I'll be presenting today's webinar on our group compare tool. So our group compare tool requires a little bit of understanding with segment groups, and hopefully those that are watching have already gained some insight into what a segment group is. I will share our segment group webinar on our YouTube channel, and I have linked it to you if you're watching when you registered to attend this webinar. So what is a segment group? Now, a segment group is a powerful way to logically group different parts of your network to analyze as a statistical unit. It allows you to compare, analyze, and report on different segment groups within your network or within multiple networks. Now, why would you use a segment group? One of the needs that often arise in network analysis is to monitor not only the long-term performance of specific projects, but also of logical groups of projects. Segment groups allow you to define groups that define small segments of your network and put them into certain groups. I'm not going to go into too much detail about segment groups because that's not what this webinar is about. So I've linked here a help post and a help video. Our help post, I'll just click on it and then I'll jump back and link to our help post. But we actually have a few different help posts. So just clicking the link, this one's a really good help post learning about segment groups. This is our help forum. If you just plug in segment groups into the little search window, it's going to populate with all of our help posts that have information on our segment groups. The video is also very helpful and it's available on our YouTube channel. And this is an introduction to segment groups for network analysis, which was given by Fritz. So I recommend watching that if the group compare tool isn't quite making sense, because really understanding segment groups is going to be helpful when understanding this group compare tool that we're about to go over. So let's go back to JunoViewer, and I'm just going to jump straight into the demo. First, I'm going to show you where segment groups is located. So under the manage menu, you should be able to see segment groups. I'm just in the training account. We've got training happening at the moment, so that's why you're going to see all of this down here. But we can just ignore that, and I'm just going to take you over to segment groups and just show you what it looks like. So you can define segment groups with any segment that is important to you. So if you have groups of data that can be defined, then you can create a segment group from that. So in here you can see this list. We've got different group categories, directional groups. That's quite self-explanatory. That's different lanes. So we've got data in lane both, which is both increasing and decreasing. We've got another group which is decreasing and another group which is increasing. Similarly, we've created one for maintenance actions, and you create bins. So we've got 5 bins in this one where we've categorized all of our data, all of the sections that have had 0 maintenance, low maintenance, medium maintenance, and high maintenance, and very high maintenance, I believe. Again, we've got another one here, which is AADT, so it's average annual daily traffic, I believe. And you can see here that we've grouped the data by different bins of vehicles per day. So it's defined here, so you can see if this falls into this category between 5,000 and 10,000 vehicles per day, I want to put all of that into one group. And you can create bins so that you can interrogate the data and do some analysis and reporting on that. So that's a quick summary of segment groups, very quick. So as I said earlier, I highly recommend going to check out our help post or watch the previous video on segment groups. so that what I'm about to go into makes a little bit more sense, and you can really understand the gravity of the importance of doing this group compare tool, of using this group compare tool rather. So under the Analyze menu is where you find the group compare tool. So I've just clicked Analyze, and I'm going to go down to group compare, and that's going to load this page. So you'll see something like this, and you can see it's written here. This group compare view allows you to easily compare across defined segment groups using either high or low frequency breakdown graph. So high-low plot or a frequency breakdown graph. And all of the groups that I had defined in my segment groups are going to populate in my group category dropdown. So that's the first selection that you want to make. So if you've already defined your segment groups, and you know which one you're going to select, then you go ahead and select that one. But for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm just going to show the two of the ones that we just covered. So I'm going to look at maintenance actions, and I think we might look at AADT. So if I click on maintenance actions, I can select a data parameter. Now that matters because I want to see, I might want to see how my roughness is performing over the various maintenance. So a group that has had low maintenance versus a group that has had high maintenance, and see how my network's performing. And an important point here is that you can also, it doesn't have to be in the same network. So you could have sections across various networks that you want to report on. You want to see how those groups are performing, not just within one network, but multiple networks. And that is also defined in your segment groups definition. So when you look at the segment group stuff, you understand that you can define your sections and network ID. So you'll see in this view, we don't have to configure what network we want to look at or what section. So a lot of the JunoViewer views, you want to drill down to a specific section, but here I want to overall look and report on how my network or how a group of sections is performing. So I've selected maintenance action. I'm going to stick with right, mean, and left wheel path. And here you select your date range. So you want to know what your survey dates are as well. And if you don't know that, I suggest going to find out, and then you plug those dates in here. So I'm going to interrogate one year of survey data. And I've plugged my dates in here, so you can see I've got 2020 to 2021, and I'm going to leave it on high-low graph at the moment, and then I'm going to draw graph. So you can see, even though I've made these selections, nothing's happened. You have to click draw graph, as it says down here, and that's going to populate my graph for me. So here you can see all of the groups that were defined in my segment groups. So I've got my low maintenance, zero maintenance, very high maintenance, medium maintenance, and high maintenance. And the colors here, these are the data parameter interpretation ranges. So these bins are defined in your data parameter based on this specific data parameter that I've selected here. So you can see where there's been where there's been a lot of maintenance done, my rating's a lot higher. Where there's been low maintenance done, it's not as high. So you can do some comparisons like that in your group compare tool. There's also this other option here, which allows you to change the statistical values. So I want to see the 95th percentile, I want to see the mean value, and let's say I want to see the 15th percentile. So you can change that in here, and you can choose whether or not you want to display the minimum and maximum tails and show the statistical labels. So I've selected to show the statistical labels, which is the statistical values that have been generated based on all of the data that it's looking at and reporting on. and I'll tick this and we'll see what happens. I'll go okay, and then I have to redraw a graph. So I'm going to click draw graph again, and it's going to look a bit different. So you can see my tails are here, and that's because I changed the options, and my data parameters have changed a little bit because I changed the statistical values that I wanted to show. We also have the frequency breakdown, which is a histogram that you can use to view your data as well. So I'm going to draw a graph again. So each time you make a change in this view, you need to redraw your graph, and you can see here it's representing the data, the same data, in a different reporting format. So it's really helpful if you want to see how your networks, not just your network, but how your roads are performing across different networks in the same networks that belong to a specific group. And you can apply the same logic, as I said, to any group that you think is meaningful to you, that you would like to report on. So let's go over to AADT. Let's have a look at our traffic. So I want to see how my roughness is performing, where the traffic is low or high. So I've selected my NASRA data parameter. I'm going to keep my date ranges the same because I know there's survey data in within those date ranges, and I'm going to redraw my graph. So you can see here, these are my bins for my my traffic data. I'm going to go back to my high-low graph because I prefer that one. And you can see here that I've got, these are the data values. So this is the count of data values that it's reporting on. So that's one thing that you can keep an eye on when you're doing these reports in JunoViewer. You can make sure that the data that it's reporting on is actually comparable across the groups, that it's not unfairly representing one group because there's a lot more data in there. So these types of reporting graphs are very helpful for this type of analysis and reporting. And there's one more thing that I wanted to show. Yes, this graph option. So in this view, you can also change the graph option. So you can change the font as well as the size of the text or the numbers or the labels, the legends. Sometimes if you're copying and pasting, so you could copy this image and paste it into a Word document or something like that for a report, and sometimes they're a little bit small. So being able to alter those sizes are actually really helpful for this type of reporting. So yeah, that is the group compare tool. Nice and simple webinar for today. But I hope you find it helpful. As I said, I recommend going over to have a look at the segment group videos and help posts, just so you can actually utilize this tool use it to its maximum value. And yeah, that's all from me. If there are no questions.
No questions, Danielle.
Awesome. Cheers. Thank you so much for joining. I hope this was helpful.